Bernadette has agreed to answer the first question. Where did you start your IDL project, and what initial leadership strategies were taken to get you started? Bernadette?
Well, first of all, I'm from the South, so I have to bring greetings. And bring greetings from the highest hill of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida. Yes, Florida does have hills. Well, on behalf of our president, Dr. James Ammons, and the Rattler Nation, good morning. Okay, I understand. You should have had coffee by now. Good morning. Good morning. Good. Okay, well, we started our project with us. We're the single largest historically black college in the nation. We have over 14,000 on the current single campus, and we offer a number of degrees, including 10 doctoral degrees, and 3 of those are in engineering. So my partner in crime and in interdisciplinary work is Dr. Reginald Perry. He's Associate Dean of FSU, Florida State University, and FAMU's College of Engineering. And of course, as you heard from the introduction, I'm in the College of Education. How we got together was that we were both reading for the National Science Foundation, and I happened to see this guy's name on the program, and it said Reginald Perry. Well, that's my brother's name. So I said, my brother has no degree in engineering or science. Why is he here? So I went to him, and we introduced, and we've been working together for the last 16 years. One of the things that we noticed right away that many of the students come to us in first-year programs with AP courses or those who were ready to enter their profession of engineering or the STEM programs, but there were bottleneck courses that kept them from moving forward. And we know what those courses are. You can name a couple of them, I know, and maybe even you teach one of them, I don't know, okay? But that's all right, we're praying with you. So one of the things that I noticed since education was my area that I said to Dr. Perry, I said, Dr. Perry, there is this phenomenon going around talking about learning communities, and there's this guru of a campus called Evergreen. So why don't we seek some funding and see if we can't bring that to our campus for the first year experience students, and so that their parents can stop helicoptering, being a helicopter over them, and allow them to move forward by forming a learning community. So we sought funding from National Science Foundation with this idea of building this cocoon or this learning community, or as the words have gotten now village. It takes a village. So we decided to build this village of freshmen incoming science, technology, engineering, mathematics students, and then populate it with interdisciplinary learning. Use that as a focus to move forward. At first, everybody was excited. Since this was an institutional grant that we won, that means the chief academic officer was in charge. So when the president and chief academic officer calls, everybody comes what? Running. Because you want your budget next year, isn't that right? Okay. So then everyone was excited in the beginning, and everyone was all gung-ho. But when they began to realize that we had to share some of the resources, or that some of you might have to do something more than just your course, the way you taught it for the last 15, 20 years, then we began to get some fallback. But it has turned out to be really great. We're finding now that some of the words like interdisciplinary have fallen into the strategic plan, which is a good place to start. Funding always helps. But is it necessary? I don't think so, because it wasn't the funds that got the faculty moving or the university moving. It was the excitement of the students, because we gave them an opportunity to do something with the learning that was occurring right then and there. In this learning community, we do something called integrated research projects. The old problem-based learning, project-based learning, but it's outside of the classroom that brings together all of the disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics into one project that they can realize a product at the end of the semester or end of the academic year. So that's where we kind of started.
And I want to mention to everyone, you do still have some cards on your table. If you have any questions as we go through that you want to bring up to the panelists, write them on there, and we'll send someone around to collect those cards, and we'll kind of share them up here. And I was just wondering if there is anyone else from the panel who would like to comment on how their project got started and expand on that a little bit.
I'll take a shot.
Mary?
Our project started actually as the seeds were planted as we created our strategic plan that was adopted by our faculty about 2.5, 3 years ago. That was, as in most campuses, a really large enterprise to create a new strategic plan. Hundreds of faculty were involved, about 140 in our case, and we only have about 200 on campus, so the vast majority. And out of that strategic plan came the statement that we wanted scientists, engineers, humanists, and policy specialists to work together to support the development of a life sciences program characterized by breadth as well as depth. So we had a strategic push behind our project to go forward and create this program, and that's what our project was, but there's no question that that base in the large campus discussion and then as it was voiced in the plan itself created a wonderful momentum for us to move forward.
Terry, you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like Bernadette, our project began because we had a specific need of encouraging. It's the issue that I think many campuses wrestle with in terms of access. In other words, how do we provide an education that will serve many constituents across our state? And Ohio is a very diverse state, inner city, Appalachia, rural. How do we provide access and at the same time prepare students so that they can succeed once they get to a university environment? Many of these students are first generation and providing a success mechanism. And that also began with National Science Foundation funding that was really championed by my colleague Susan Olisek, and really that was what helped facilitate this. I'm not sure we would have been part of the Cal project had it not been for the fact that we had NSF funding.
Scott, did you have a different perspective from Beloit?
Well, this actually, before I was at Beloit, I was at Carleton College. One example of, I think, a successful moment of integrative learning was linked to Carleton's quantitative reasoning initiative. And unlike these other examples, QR was completely absent from any sort of strategic plan. And in fact, if you were on the Carleton campus 6-7 years ago, you would have seen lots of faculty and students that wore on their sleeves their pride in being math phobic. And so it was almost completely the opposite of that. But there was a ground roots effort that came out of the faculty that began to find some language and some traction, at least among the faculty. And as you might imagine, there was not a lot of traction among the students as this conversation was going on. But Carleton unwittingly or unknowingly actually followed almost to a T all 5 of those steps that Susan just put up on the board not too long ago as a means to actually in rapid fashion convert the culture of the campus to one that in which the campus now is really pretty enthusiastic about this QR initiative. I mean, when the initial faculty group was together, they banned the use of the word requirement, that was going to be too off-putting. And amazingly, in a recent curricular review, it came from across the campus, not from the scientists, mathematicians, social scientists, but across the campus, that the college needed a quantitative reasoning requirement. And so it was a cultural shift, but it was a cultural shift that had all the elements that Bernadette talks about, just in a somewhat different order.
And I think that's an important point to remember. Campuses can start at different places and insert themselves into that process, and hopefully we can have some more examples of that.